Welcome to episode 57 of the Fact Up podcast with Jim Bamboulis. I'm your host, Jim Bamboulis, and today we're heading to New York's North Country to explore the fertile, beautiful stretch of the Adirondack Coast in New York, where rolling farms meet the shores of Lake Champlain and communities are weaving together agriculture and tourism in creative and sustainable ways. Agritourism here isn't just about fresh produce or scenic landscapes. It's about people, pride, and preserving traditions while building new communities. Joining us is Kristy Kennedy, Vice President of Marketing at the North Country Chamber of Commerce, whose passion for community shines through every story she shares. Together, we'll uncover how agritourism is shaping the economy, culture, and sense of place along the Adirondack Coast. Kristy, when people hear agritourism, they may think of, farm stands, corn mazes. How would you describe what agritourism truly means for the Adirondack Coast and why it's so vital for the region?
I think it encompasses those two things that you mentioned. But when I think agritourism, I think of the ability for our visitors to experience a type of culture and agriculture that they may not have in their backyard and get to really see what it means to visit a working farm, get to see an apple orchard, and not just like go to the farm stand, but actually get to pick that apple, try berries and fruits and vegetables that aren't processed yet or aren't on the grocery store shelves. I think it's the ability to really, for lack of a better term, understand what that farm to table movement means, and get to see what goes into your, whether it's your food or an experience or why it's so important to even have farmers in our community right now. It's really neat. We did a destination master plan. Like, what is our destination here on the Adirondack Coast? And most people think Adirondacks, they're thinking outdoor rec. You're going to climb a mountain, you're going to cycle, you're going to do that. And the consultant said to me, do you realize not everybody can just walk outside in the fall and pick an apple? And I said, no, because I've always been able to pick an apple. I've lived here all my life. And to me, that opened my eyes to what agritourism is. It's that experience that is unique to this part of the Adirondacks.
And not a lot of people can climb that mountain. I mean, we have to be conscious to that. I mean, it's not just a matter of getting your runners on and putting on a pair of shorts or track pants and then just saying, "All right, I'm going to climb this mile-high mountain." A lot of people would find it easier to actually go pick an apple rather than climb a mountain.
Exactly. And there's a different piece to it versus some people go up and want to climb that mountain or get out on the trails to connect with nature. This is just a different way to connect with nature. It's a different way to connect with the land that we have. And I think it's vitally important right now as people are more aware of how things are processed and wanting to see where things come from, understanding really what farming is and sustainable practices and the green economy. I think that's really why agritourism can stand out in its own right now and is one of the things that we have to showcase.
And you touched on this, farms aren't just businesses, right? They're family legacies. Can you share an example of how a multi-generational farm has embraced agritourism while keeping its traditions alive?
Yeah. Immediately what comes to mind is Rolf's Orchard in our area. They are on their third generation now, owning it. And it started honestly with the grandfather. He was down from downstate and he just wanted a simpler life. He had been here, I believe, vacationing or something of that sort, kind of fell in love with the land, decided to buy some cows and move here. And he did just that. And then he turned into a small little farm stand. And then his son kind of steps in and turns it into, the orchard and really embraces the apples. And then now it's his granddaughters who have made this and just underwent a huge remodel, has a huge bustling farm stand, has the corn mazes and the you pick apples and the berries, and has turned it from what was a couple cows in a farm stand to a really great agritourism attraction But when you walk through it, you still see the pieces of the history. You see Bob, who was their grandfather, like pictures of him on the wall, and the story is there. So it's definitely an experience to see how working on land can develop throughout families, but the pride that they all take in it.
Guys, if you're ever south of Plattsburgh and there's an opportunity to visit Ralph's Orchard, please do so. It's such an amazing place, but it also, like you touched on it, it speaks to the testament of the family bond and loyalty to be able to carry a tradition. You have to really love what you do
Hmm.
in order to kind of carry the torch, so to speak, from your grandfather to now running it on your own, years later, right? That's a special bond.
Oh my God. And everybody, when you walk in there, up until unfortunately Bob passed away a few years ago, but he was still there at the cash register, welcoming everybody. All the tractors that are out there are his, and he would talk about them with the kids. It just became like, I remember going every fall because that's where you went to with your family. That's where you went and picked apples and pumpkins, and you wanted to see Bob and you wanted to see the grandkids and things like that. So, and it doesn't hurt that they make some really good cider donuts.
Exceptional.
That doesn't hurt at all either.
Seeing farms open, tasting rooms and offer farm stays, hosting, seasonal festivals, which are always a great idea and they're always great fun. What are some of the most innovative ways Adirondack Coast farms are welcoming visitors today?
You know, there's two that come to mind and they're completely different. We have Country Dreams Farm, which is a actual working farm. It's a woman-owned farm, and it is you're going to go there and they're going to show you what it means to be a farmer. So they have the animals out, they're working the land. They, of course, have wagon rides and all the pumpkin patch that you want to see, but you're going to see really that experience. And I think that's really innovative in a lot of ways because a lot of farms don't want to open up and they don't want you to see what it really takes, the effort that you have to put into that land. And Country Dreams does a great job of being like, this is what it's like. These are animals and this is how we use them. And this is where things grow and how they grow. And I can really appreciate the openness because that can be something that is a little hard to find there. Switching gears, we have Minor Institute in this area, and it is an agricultural school. So it works with animals and land, and it really educates people on what it means. And there's a lot of history there about our development as well. So, but it's open to the public. So you can go and see what does it mean and how are we developing new things in science and farming and what is Miner's legacy here and what has he contributed to agritourism and farming in general. So I think it's really incredible that we have this world-class facility that is on the forefront of how do we stay sustainable and shows that to our visitors, as well as a farm who's like, we're the ones working, and this is where things come from, and this is what it looks like. And it's not always, glamorous hay rides, but um, this is what you experience.
And on top of that, there's nothing to do with AI and it's real and people can
Yeah,
see it and feel it and smell it and experience it, which I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know, maybe I'm biased, but it's always refreshing to see something that isn't artificially made and that you're seeing through a screen.
yeah. And so many people don't get that opportunity. I take, like I said, I take for granted that I can drive around and I get to see a cow.
Right.
So actually, you can come to the Adirondack Coast and you can experience something in agriculture all year because a lot of people think maple syrup, that's a spring harvest. It's not fall like most people. So it's a great thing to do in the spring. And then you've got your summer harvest, and then you've got the apples in the fall. And it's really something to enjoy year round.
Correct, yeah. Well, agritourism doesn't only just benefit farmers, of course, it impacts, local restaurants, artisans,
Mhm.
even transportation providers. I mean, what ripple effects are you seeing in the community?
It stems in a few ways. One, we have people who are coming and want to experience those attractions and destinations, and with that, anytime you have someone in your community, that means they're spending dollars elsewhere. So they're supporting restaurants, they're staying the night. They're visiting other attractions. They may be shopping. So there's a ripple effect financially, obviously. But there's also the just word of mouth and awareness that happens. People are coming and they're seeing it and it's picturesque and it's something you want to put on Instagram and it could people see it and then come and show up. And so it helps continue to grow it. I think it's also just a unique offering. So it's something our stories about farming are only stories we can tell. It doesn't happen everywhere. And so it gives us something unique to hang our hat on as well.
How important is it to have that Instagram post or Facebook post or YouTube short and uh, really have that capture the essence of the people that are in the community doing all those amazing things that are not only benefiting but providing the foundation for that ripple effect?
Yeah, I think with anything authentic stories and authentic testimonials, they honestly don't want to hear me tell them how great agritourism is. Um, that's my job.
Right,
I am
right.
paid to tell you, you should come. It's wonderful. You're going to have the best experience. But if someone you follow and trust or someone you may know post a really great picture and said they had a great experience, that firsthand look at it and wanting to be there or describing what the apple tastes like or the berries are like, that's where you're going to actually turn over somebody who's going to embrace it and dig in a little bit deeper. And then with that also comes our businesses see that and they see like, oh, people are really enjoying X, Y, and Z. So maybe a restaurant decides to partner with that agritourism attraction to feature some of their items on the menu. And then now you're bringing the experience not only to the farm, but into the community in different ways as well. So anytime you can get somebody outside of the actual visitors bureau or the attraction saying wonderful things and posting wonderful pictures, it really makes it authentic and genuine. And that's what we want to be. One of the things I love about our destination is the people here. Oftentimes Adirondacks have a stigma of being either over visited or overcrowded with visitors and things like that. And our community tends to be one of the ones that's still left being really authentic. We're not overcrowded, so we tend to, when we see somebody who may not be, a neighbor or whatnot, we want to get to know their stories. And people wave when cars go by, and our restaurateurs, like a lot of time, the wait staff ask questions when you're not from this area. And I love that about this community, and I hope that's always a takeaway is our people are wonderful.
Yeah, it was for me. It was for me
Yeah, oh,
for
good,
sure.
good, good, good.
The region
And
is known obviously for its natural beauty. How's agritourism and the businesses, balancing that growth with the commitment to sustainability and continuing to care for the land? How do you find that balance?
I think that really comes from, you know, every farm understands that if they don't take care of their land, then it's not going to produce for them. That's always at the forefront is obviously they need the trees for maple, they need the apples, they need the cornfields and the dairy farms. And so it's constantly working with different organizations about what can the land take, how does it continue to be fruitful, but also how do we open it up? And I think that's a really strong balance. It's the same thing when we look at any of our natural resources. Obviously, Lake Champlain is where we hang our hat when it comes to waterways in the area. And we kind of look at it the same way. If there's an angler out there or if there's a boater, we want them to take care of their boat and clean it and make sure there's no invasive species before they go in or anything that can cause anything like that. It's the same conversation when it comes to agritourism. How do we really make sure we're open and we can give this experience to people, but without harming it as well? Cornell is in our backyard and they do a lot, the Cornell Cooperative Extension, on farming and advocacy and providing resources and grants to make sure that we're continuing sustainable practices.
Yeah. And it's always that balance with social media as well, where you want the publicity, you want that marketing, you want people to come and enjoy, but also please come and respect where you are. So you're not, you're not doing anything really damaging
Exactly.
to a livelihood or to a farmer or to a restaurateur,
Exactly.
right?
Oh my God, for sure. And I think that's why stuff like the working farms that are open and just operating as they are so important because they are showing this is what it's really like and this is where you need to be careful and we aren't sugarcoating it. We're not paving walkways for you. This is really what you're getting into and why it's super important.
That's
So
right. Yeah. Well,
sustainability will always be huge.
yeah,
In any destination that has natural beauty, whether it's outdoor recreation, you don't want overuse of trails. Um, you don't want overuse of waterways. It's agritourism falls in that same category. You need to be respectful for the land that we have and what it's offering.
definitely. Well, beyond food, agritourism connects visitors with culture, with
Mhm.
history, even indigenous traditions. How do you see these stories woven into the visitor experience?
I think one that you took part in, for I know when you were here, was the Michigan.
Yep.
And the Michigan is more of a dining experience, not necessarily something we grow in the land or we farm, but it is a delicacy that only we have. And it's basically a hot dog with like a chili hamburger sauce with no beans. There's ways to order it. There's stories behind it. There's car hop services. No one really knows where it started or why we have it here, but there's a lot of legend around it and history and speculation. There's multiple stands that are very seasonal that open up. And I think that kind of story is interesting. Everyone has their favorite place to go.
Yep.
So to a visitor, if they're talking to a local resident or a community member, well, you need to go to McSweeney's or you need to go to Claire and Carl's or you need to go to because that's the best. And then people will be like, well, where did it come from? And everyone has a different story. Well, this woman moved from California and this was the only recipe she had. So she started this little stand, and other people are like, it came from Michigan. So it just plays in our landscape now where people are trying to figure out what's the real story. And when people come, they want to try different ones and why are they different? And so I think a lot of that plays into history of the area. Dairy farms are the same way, the like we were talking about, they're usually passed down from generation to generation. I feel like any farmer, that's how they tell stories as well. So there's this heritage of, well, when we got the land, it was full of trees and now bears have come into the property and so there's like a storytelling on why they picked that piece of land and how it started and the challenges they face and why the soil was good. I think it just really talks about the landscape and the people, and it's fun and you want to hear about it.
What makes you most proud when you see, visitors experiencing agritourism on the Adirondacks coast for the first time?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Yeah, because I can
I
tell you, like for me, it was if you saw our faces, it was just elation, and we were there in mid to late September. I
yeah.
can't even imagine throughout the rest of the year.
I love seeing kids especially. So we get a lot of families. We're a very family friendly part of the Adirondacks. I love seeing the kids going to a pancake breakfast and getting to ride around and seeing like the old buckets and they're tasting the sap and they don't realize they can actually try the sap. They think it's like, well, that's not maple syrup yet. I can't eat it. It's like, no, no, you can. Like, and they try it and it's new and daunting to them. Or a lot of our orchards do berry picking. And to see like every kid loves a strawberry. Who doesn't? But to like find like, oh, these grow on like this, and I can just pick it. And there's always that one kid who is eating the strawberry right in the field, and it's like all over their face and dripping down. Yeah,
That would be
just
me.
a big kid at heart.
Oh yeah.
And it, and it's there. And like by the time they go weigh, it's like, well, should we weigh the child because they are full of more berries than the actual basket? And they've just like they're dirty and sticky, but the smile that is on that child's face because they didn't realize like they could do this. I absolutely love that. Or this time of year, I always take my niece and nephew, and they range now from 19 to 2.
Right.
And I have never missed a fall taking them to go get their pumpkins. And inevitably, you see the kid who is not used to a pumpkin patch, and the parents are like, you can take the pumpkin if you can carry it. And you see the kid with the pumpkin that's so big and they really can't carry it, but
Right.
they're bound and determined to carry that pumpkin. I just love those like moments. I think they're so wholesome. It's so new to them. I think those are probably some of my favorites that you see when people then when they get to really experience that for the first time.
Yeah, that's magical.
It really is.
Well, let's get a little personal. When you think about your own connection to agritourism here, is there a farm memory or experience that really stands out for you personally?
I I would say there's two. I will start with the funnier of the two. My friends and I, so I have a group of 6 friends, and we kind of call ourselves friends because we're like 3 couples, none of us have kids, you know. But we decide every fall that we are going to go to the orchard and have a fall fun day as adults.
Right.
And last year on Fall Fun Day, it ended up being like 90 degrees. We wanted to be like Instagram worthy for fall. So we had like our sweaters on and the flannel and the big scarves and our coffees in our hand. Every picture, we look like we are melting.
Right.
But we are picking apples, we are eating all the donuts. I don't think I've had more fun as an adult or on a family or on our fall fun day than I did last year, just really laughing at ourselves and eating every apple I possibly could. I was the kid who got way big of a pumpkin and couldn't
Right.
carry it.
Right.
It was just like, to this day, I still laugh about it. And we're planning for this year's fall fun day and we're watching the weather. We're like, we can't sweat. Like, when is it going to be chilly enough for us to go?
Right.
But I think it's something like I've done now for like 10 plus years with this group. And we go and we are just as rambunctious as the children that are there running through the corn maze and picking apples. So I, I love that it brings that out of us. Um, My other favorite memory is we go every year with my nieces and nephews, and we go pick our pumpkins from Country Dreams Farm, and we ride the wagon ride, and just like getting to see them do that, and then knowing they get to carve their pumpkin, or they were with me when we saw the fainting goats, and like just that whole experience and being able to have that connection with them, watching them run like crazy and wander through the corn maze. There's something about watching them and really getting to be with your family that I think is pretty awesome.
And especially, and correct me if I'm wrong, at this age, you kind of value those moments even more
Oh, yeah.
and you cherish that even more, be it, with 5 or 6 more of your friends at this. I don't think I have 5 or 6 friends in general, much less have a yearly tradition. So kudos to you, Kristy.
Thanks.
But to be able to see that and cherish that is super special for sure.
Yeah, I think it also shows like agritourism's for everybody. You can appreciate it at any level or age. There's always something to experience when it comes to it. And I think even if you've picked an apple a million times, each time it's going to be different. There's going to be a different circumstance to it. And then you're going to have a deeper appreciation for, land and farmers in general. So,
Last question. If you had to paint a picture of agritourism here 5, 10 years from now, what do you hope people see, taste, feel when they come to the Adirondack coast?
I am very amazed with what we offer right now. I think it's pretty incredible. I would love to see more collaborations with our farmers and our restaurants per se. I think we do a really good job of having those conversations, and our restaurants are always trying to find ways to include them, but it's sometimes just not, we don't produce enough.
Mhm.
So I would love to be able to have that experience where it's not just at the farm, but or the orchard or the sugar house. And I think we're on track for that. I think there's a really great movement of restaurants here who are looking to um, showcase what we offer, keep it very niche, and I want to continue to see that grow. I want to see it so it's a full day's experience. Not only are you picking, but you're tasting and you're seeing what it's capable of. Really focusing on the sustainability. I know that's really important to a lot of people right now. It's important to me. Being able to tell that story and how, we do it well, and we want to continue to do that.
Kristy Kennedy, thank you so much for joining us today on the Fact Up podcast. I wish you and your team a continued success and agritourism, bountiful harvest for the community and visitors who come to enjoy the products and the people and the flavors of your region. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
To our listeners, next time you're planning a trip, remember that a simple visit to a farm or vineyard can help sustain generations and connect you with the soul of the region. Until next time, keep exploring, keep connecting, and keep celebrating the stories that unite and make our communities thrive.